The Little Boy and Girl in the Clouds. Storyteller Lagu was sitting by the fire one evening, staring dreamily at the sparks rising from the flames. The children, seeing him like this, knew not to disturb him with questions or requests for stories. At times like these, Lagu would be lost in thoughts of the strange and unbelievable things he had seen and heard. To him, the flickering sparks seemed to form images and symbols only he could understand. They didn't need to be told. The children already knew that after a while, Lagu would turn to them and begin speaking. But that evening, no matter how long they waited and whispered among themselves, Lagu sat still and silent, like a stone. The children began to worry, thinking he had forgotten them and that they might go to bed without a story that night. Just then, little Morning Glory, known for her strange and curious questions, thought of something she'd never considered before. "Lagu!" she suddenly shouted, then went silent, realizing how loud she had been. The shout pulled Lagu from his deep thoughts like nothing else could. "What is it, Morning Glory?" he asked gently. "Lagu, tell me something. Have the mountains always been here?" The old man looked at the little girl for a long time. No matter how difficult or unexpected the question, Lagu always found joy in answering. He never said, "I'm busy, go away," or "come back later." So when Morning Glory asked this odd question, Lagu nodded thoughtfully and said, "You know, I've often asked myself that same question. Really, have the mountains always been here?" He paused and turned his eyes back to the fire, as though the answer might be hidden in the glowing coals. Then, slowly, the words began to flow again. "Yes, perhaps the mountains and hills were formed at the very beginning, when the world itself was created. I've told you before how the earth came to be, remember? But there's one hill, one strange peak that wasn't always here. It seemed to grow suddenly from the earth, as if by magic. Have I ever told you the story of how the giant rock lifted a little boy and girl all the way up into the clouds?" "No," the children cried excitedly. "You've never told us that one. Please tell it now." So Lagu began. The story of the giant rock was passed down to Lagu from his grandfather, and to him from his own grandfather, perhaps from someone who was there when it all really happened. A long, long time ago, in an age when no human or animal hunted one another, when meadow wolves were friendly, and you could walk up to the great mountain lion and ask if it was past noon. In that peaceful time, there lived a little boy and girl in a beautiful valley. It was a place like no other, a wide green carpet stretching far and wide, the best playground children could ever hope for. When the wind blew through the grass, it looked like waves rolling across a sea. Flowers of every color bloomed all around, berries grew on the bushes, and summer breezes carried birdsong to every ear. But what made it truly special was that there was nothing to be afraid of. The children could run wherever they pleased, chasing butterflies, playing with rabbits and squirrels, following bees on their way to hives. Wild animals weren't locked in cages or fenced in like today. In that lovely valley, they lived as they should, free and happy. Bears were big, lazy, and kind. They spent summers eating fruit and slept in caves through winter. Deer were gentle and tame like lambs. They often wandered where the children played, grazing and keeping them company. The children loved all the animals, and the animals loved them. But their favorites were a rabbit named Jack and an antelope. Jack had long legs and even longer ears, No other animal his size could leap as high, but even he couldn't match the speed of the antelope, with its short horns and strong legs that made it faster than the wind. At the heart of the valley ran a clear river. Animals came from far and wide to drink from it or cool off on hot summer days. Near the river there was a little pool. It almost seemed made just for the boy and girl. Their friend, the beaver, with his flat tail and webbed feet, had taught them how to swim there as soon as they could walk. On warm afternoons, splashing and playing in the water was their favorite thing to do. One midsummer day, the water felt so refreshing that they played until they were completely worn out. At last, a little chilled, they left the pool to find a sunny place to warm up. "Let's climb that mossy flat rock," the boy said. "It's pretty big. We've never climbed it before. Let's have some fun." They scrambled up the low rock, and the boy pulled his sister up after him. Lying down on the smooth surface, they soon fell asleep under the golden light of evening. What happened next? No one knows. But while they slept, that moss-covered rock began to grow.